Okay, there we go. So it's recording.
And I'm just going to hop off videos just so that way I could eat dinner while I'm listening, guys. But I'm here.
Go for it.
Thank you.
Okay.
So today is Tuesday, May 19th. It is 6:03 p.m. and we are entering the Charlton Board of Health meeting. All members are in attendance. We have John Sanborn, Kathleen Walker, and myself, Matt Gagner. First and foremost on the agenda, through our Health Department Director, Jim Philbrook, we will be discussing COVID-19. I just breaking out the hot news on the COVID-19. The main topic right now is graduations. Those are coming around the corner, and we need to discuss with Dudley Board of Health and Charlton Board of Health collectively what we can do to have a graduation. I know it's been the topic going back and forth. There's been some strategy as well as Bay Path. There's been some strategy, and there's talks about a parade and things like that. And well, we got news today that the Department of Public Health has requested that the Board of Health do not give any guidance with regards to graduation at this point, and wait towards hopefully the end of the week to get more guidance. So Jim, do you want to pick up and bring us up to speed with that?
Jim, you're on mute.
How about now? Can everyone hear
Here we
me?
go.
Yep, we can hear you now.
That's better.
Thank you. All right, sorry about that. We had a DPH call today. Andrew sat in on the call with me. They gave us some guidance, and the first thing they mentioned was everyone's calling about graduation for high schools and any kind of event. They've asked us to hold off, meaning the boards of health, not myself, on any decisions of agreements with any school district on any activities until the end of the week when they provide guidance. So that'll assure that Charlton and Dudley are on the same base, and which we are anyway, I believe. But I think it's for the entire state, because it's a big question. They want to do something for graduation. So the state asked if you could hold off to the end of the week, and Cheryl Sabara, along with Ron O'Connor from DPH, would provide proper guidance for everyone to follow. So that's what we got today. And that was a gist. I just called Matt. I think I got off the call at 4:30 and just gave him I think we've had some thoughts. And I think Dudley wants to meet on Thursday, and hopefully I can provide that guidance from the state by Thursday if they have it to the board, so you can go into that meeting with Dudley and you can all be on the same base as far as what you can follow as direction from DPH.
Ultimately, you know, I personally feel that we need to have a graduation ceremony, and the question is, how do we do it? How do we remain legal in doing so? And I personally think that the social/physical distancing rules, guidelines can be met by doing that. And I wanna do everything I possibly can to facilitate the graduation ceremony to Shepherd Hill, Dudley Charlton Regional School District, as well as Bay Path. So, you know, the problem is we have mask guidelines that we need to follow, and so we're trying to come up with a plan. I was saying on Monday's meeting that my particular graduation was an outdoor event for most of it till we got rained out. But I do believe an outdoor event would work, and I do believe we could maintain that social distancing. It sounds to me like the school districts have a different plan as far as maybe some type of parade route that they would try to accomplish. We saw some tentative parading going down Pierpoint and ending in Charlton Middle School. And I know Jim's reviewed that a little bit. I've reviewed that, but there's nothing in writing. And at this point, there's no comment from myself, because we're waiting to hear how it plays out with Mass DPH. So One way or the other, though, I'm going to try to bend over backwards to make sure that the seniors get, a just graduation one way or the other. So that's my thought on it, and to be continued. So, Kathleen?
Well, I just wanted to mention that I saw the email with the things, the two options that the school was suggesting about the parade route. And I mean, that seemed, and also cleaning out their lockers. They seem to be looking to us for guidance on both of those things. I think that's separate from the graduation, and maybe you're going to address this, but either one, cleaning out their lockers, I think has to be done. And in the parade route, I don't see any problem with either one of those.
How about you, John?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think they definitely need some sort of a ceremony at this point. I'm hoping that the state is able to come up with something that can keep everybody apart, and yet everybody can have a decent experience. It's unfortunate that it's bad enough that these kids had to give up prom and some of the other things, but the last couple months of high school, but to not be able to graduate, I find is pretty bad. So yeah, I'm with you. I would do anything that's legal to make sure that these folks get some sort of a graduation that's memorable instead of sitting at home.
I personally have been thinking outside of the box. I'm sure it's not going to happen, but just brainstorming and throwing it outside of the box. But they have allowed drive-in theaters now, as far as the phase one of reopening the state. Those are, from my understanding, legal now. And I feel as though when it came to graduation, that we could mimic that per se, where we had maybe even a live TV or a live stream, and have a parade route where the vehicles come down, the student gets out, they're on the big screen TV, they get their diploma, anything that needs to be said about accomplishments and achievements happens at that time. They get the shot, the photo shot that they need, and they go off, and the next one comes behind. And I think there's methods out there to achieve that, but I'm waiting to see what Mass DPH has to say about it and take it from there. But I'm one way or the other. I'm trying to come up with a plan, a safe plan, and a plan that makes sense. So all of the seniors in our region have that opportunity. The same thing with the masks. If they have to wear a mask, provide masks that have like the school colors or the school emblems or whatnot, and that was their year. And so I've been thinking outside of the box. On this big screen TV vision I have, it's like we got Robert Kraft up there wishing the class of 2019 a happy year. And I mean, we're thinking big. So let's see what happens. If I get an opportunity to throw my idea at the school district, I'm absolutely going to do that. And obviously, it's what's legal, what makes sense to the entire district. And but yeah, one way or the other, it's a big concern right now. And I know it's been a lot of topic between Charlton Board of Health and Andrew and Dave Singer and whatnot, and including the school district. So yeah, to be continued with that.
So the question, Matt, do we know how many seniors we're talking about?
I believe, Jim, was it like 300 or 240 seniors, Jim? Does that sound right?
It's Bay Path's about I think he said about 265, and Shepherd Hill is about 248, 246.
Okay.
But I
Maybe
think
2 different days.
if we could get material that said Shepherd Hill or something in Bay Path, maybe we should, I know the Charlton Sewing, for a small donation, if we got the material, would make the mask for the students to be a nice gift from the Board of Health to the graduating students, to give them a mask to show them that we care.
Yeah.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
also, go ahead, Kathleen.
No, I'm just agreeing.
Yeah, I also think that if in fact that's the route that we were going, if it was not a misappropriation of funds. If the Board of Health could afford to have those masks for those students, great. If that would be a gray area or crossing a line as far as the funding from our office, I don't think it would be a problem to get those masks funded by some of our local, the banks or other local businesses that have always had support. The graduation's a big thing right now. And, my big idea, I don't think, we're talking about raising $20, $30, $40, $50,000 to make this event happen. And I don't think it'd be a problem to do that. So let's see what happens with the schools. And I think regardless of what happens with the parade or the big event or where the graduation is, Jim, I think we ought to maybe try to move forward with getting those masks, at least get a price on them and get an understanding of what they're going to cost and get the ball rolling. So we're not catching anybody at the last minute. I'm totally on board with that.
So Matt, I'm sorry, Jim.
Oh, go ahead, Kathleen.
We do have a question from Monique in the audience, if you want me to read it.
Sure.
And just find it again. Okay, she says, I don't want to interrupt the meeting, but I wonder about this. No matter the event, graduation, town meeting, etc., whether inside or outside, what are the plans for restrooms? One visitor at a time, sanitize after each visitor? Can you hold a public meeting without providing restroom facilities? Haven't heard this addressed. That's a good question, Monique.
It is a good question. I'll hop in on it a little bit. It actually has come to our attention. Without COVID-19, as far as porta potties, there's code is 1 porta potty for every 10 women and 1 porta potty for every 25 males. So as far as if we had to have porta potties, we were discussing having like 1 at a time. As soon as we talked about having a lot of porta potties, whatever it took, 20 or 30 or whatever that number was, and kind of have a rotating shift. So as somebody left the porta potty, there was staff member that could go in and disinfect that porta potty after each use. So we did touch on it, and we do think that we could have a plan that would be safe. But again, there's nothing concrete because it's all up in the air at this point. Jim, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, today, unfortunately, Andrew was on the call with me, that porta potties spread COVID-19, and you have to have a flushable toilet, which creates a real issue.
Oh, wow.
So I tried to get clarification from Ron O'Connor and Cheryl, what the heck are they talking about? Because even if you're flushable and allowing campgrounds, if you have a camper, it's flushable, but it's a tank that sits below your where you live. So I don't know where they came from with that. I was trying to get clarification, but they're saying that if it's not a flushable toilet, it's a porta potty, they will not be allowed. Because a lot of people are trying to say, hey, well, I'll get, like Matt said, 1 per 25, like they do at 508 International when they have like 10,000 people. We have, 200 porta potties. They work fine. They're actually come very, very clean and very safe. But DPH was saying that they determined that COVID-19 lives in your stool and that it could be contagious. So I don't know. Today the meeting was very confusing. I did send you the notes that were from the meeting today. But there was a lot of misdirection as far as information. It was very confusing. But I'll look into it further and get back to the board.
Yeah. So just to recap, and Jim, thank you for that update. So no, we don't have the answer on the toilets. I can't imagine allowing a town meeting and having people there without the toilets. That's not going to fly. But the thought has not gone undone. It's just basically fluid, and as this thing moves forward, we'll look into it. But good question on the toilets, and we'll certainly keep on it as far as what's allowed.
So Matt, just on the matter of town meeting, one of the things that we're looking at right now would be actually holding it in the front parking lot of the middle school. And what we still have to discuss with the schools is whether or not we could actually have access to the bathroom facilities right off the lobby of the school as part of the plan. So more to come on that, but that's kind of a preliminary overview of what we're looking at for town meeting.
Okay. Well, to me, that sounds like it, obviously it's not great, but it sounds like it might be a solution that works and gets us through that event. So, good.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim,
Yes.
how else are we doing on, COVID-19? What's the general consensus? People walking around with the masks and the restaurants and the food establishments and everything. How are things out in Charlton going?
Well, I think in general, I've had Kim out quite a bit, and we were out today. We did an inspection of Dresser Hill, the clam box, for their reopening on Thursday. So we did a walkthrough. They have a very good plan to stay open. If they get too busy, they will close. My only concern there is the people drive by that place doing about 50 miles an hour. So you have to be very careful. But we did walk through that. We find that people in generally are all wearing masks. There is a couple isolated incidents. I think John mentioned in our last meeting that Tarek had an issue with maybe 2 or 3 people, John, that didn't have a mask on. But all in all, Charlton Sewing continues to supply masks. And that's why I mentioned about the students. If we could find the material, they're making masks for our veterans in Charlton. So any veteran on that day will be handed a mask that's very patriotic, hand sewn by Charlton Sewing to give to them to donate.
That's great.
So
Yeah.
it's awesome.
So
Jim.
can I I'm sorry, Matt, just one question about Dresser Hill.
Mhm.
How are they gonna handle there's long lines at Dresser Hill
Yeah.
for the ice cream stand and the clams? Are they gonna mark the pavement, or what are they gonna do?
The pavement is marked. We took photos. They're 6 feet apart. Only
Okay.
one person can be in a group. You can't take your 5 kids and stand in line and go
Right.
up to it. They have to stay in their vehicle. When they get their food, they pass. Plus, they have a special iPad ordering system where they'll go out in
Okay.
line and actually
Great.
take your order. By the time you get to the front, you take your order, come through the line back out, get in your vehicle, and they're asking you to leave to clear up the parking space. If it gets too busy, she'll shut down until it slows down. But in the beginning, it won't be that busy, but people are just dying to do something and get out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're trying to allow them to comply, but at the same time, during this, be safe, and they are. I feel that they're adequately have a good plan. Whether it works or not is up to not that it would be their fault, but it's actually going to be the patrons that would not comply, and that
Right.
would cause an
I-
issue.
I got a thought there, but I had one of my best friend's fathers got into a fatal car accident right there. He was crossing Sandersdale and they fly down Route 31. It is very unsafe. And I was there one time where somebody backed out of a parking space from the clam box and they ran over the stop sign and knocked it down and drove off. And I stood there for about 45 minutes holding the stop sign for any cars coming up Sandersdale, waiting for the police and highway to come to set that, because they weren't going to put that stop sign up there. And any car that comes up Sandersdale and doesn't stop there is risking a fatality. And so it's very dangerous there. I wish there was a way, not to enforce it, but to recommend or suggest that the clam box, if you went to the clam box to get your food, you call the number, they give you, you call the phone number to place your order or do it online. And then they announce over the loudspeaker, number 18, your order's ready, or they do a call back and they do takeaway only where 1 or 2. That's how it works up at Clem's right now. And just for safety reasons, not picking on the store by any means, but it's not safe for people to be in a line right there. And I hope it works out for them. And if it seems like it's too unsafe, maybe they have to come up with a better strategy. But yeah.
Yeah, I was there today, Mr. Chairman, and I was standing in the parking lot with her, and a truck came to take a right and was so close into their parking lot that you could feel the wind of the person who took the right. It is absolutely, and they almost have to put up like cement barriers to make sure to secure that parking lot before some young child decides to run out in that road, and it would be devastating. And I expressed my concerns as you did of just that. People flying by going 50, 60 miles an hour while people are crossing the road to get an ice cream or something. We wouldn't want anything to happen. So I'll be inspecting them quite often. We're going to keep monitoring the situation, but it is a safety issue. Absolutely.
I used to live down that way, and I can tell you that there's no doubt that it's the people speed through there. Speed limit is 35, and nobody does 35. I mean, I go through there, I know it's 35, and even when I've gone through there and there's patrons there, I still have to look to make sure my speed is low. So part of it's enforcement, but you're right. I've seen patrons that just walk out because the parking lot is so big and there's no delineation between that and the road. And my suggestion would be to paint, I don't know, a yellow line or something so that as people are walking out and they're, the kids are eating their ice cream cone, the parents are looking around or whatever. And a lot of times they're just not paying attention and the cars are flying through. So maybe, I don't know, maybe as a suggestion, Jim, if you talk to the owner, if they would just paint like a yellow strip or something, maybe where the, like caution, you're entering the fray out there where the cars, and if they're turning to go down Saundersdale, there's no real lane that's marked there. It's just kind of, and a lot of times they'll go through the parking lot if there's nobody parked there. So I don't know, whatever we can do, certainly.
John, I agree with you. And I do believe there's a yellow line there.
Is there?
I believe there may be, but, and yeah, absolutely, there needs to be a line there if there's not one. But I also think to take it one notch more, and even a barrier of like orange cones, they're relatively cheap, but they're very effective. And if there was a row of orange cones, it may get someone's attention, more than the line. But I agree with you. It's some type of barricade like that because it's very unsafe there. So
yeah, orange cone's a good idea because you can, put them out during hours of business. But also the cars they're not going to run over the cones and they'll know, oh, that's right, there's people here. I like it.
yeah, it identifies for the drivers as well as the pedestrians. So
Yep, double duty.
Yep. Jim, I want to just circle back a little bit. We were talking about the masks from Charlton Sewing. And do you know, have they 100% been donating, or are they charging a fee, or do you have any idea what keeps them to continue to create these masks?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Just to let you know that Carl Stores and Incom, which I suggested that they go to cloth mask. Their doctor suggested that using medical masks would not be appropriate and save them for medical personnel. So they made a large donation to Charlton Sewing. They made them 700 masks, and they'll be asking for another 700. And all she did was tell me, thank you very much. They made a sizable donation, which kept us in business for a few months. So that was good to hear. But everyone that goes for masks, she's been donating to the town, and I've been passing them out. I asked her if I could start a GoFundMe page. She said absolutely not. She actually wanted to give me money to help people to buy things for people when they ask. She's such a lovely person. But she people do put money in an envelope and give her a donation, and she will accept it. But she didn't want a GoFundMe page, and she's one of the kindest people I've ever met. She's just doing it. She said it took people who put their sewing machines away for the past 20, 30 years, gave them a purpose, and she said, how could I not help out? And she loves doing it. She works tirelessly. She has plenty of people that volunteering, and I know Andrew is going to send her. She made special masks for all town hall employees, male and female, and Andrew has them, and he'll be passing them out when employees return. It's a good way for Andrew to reconnect with everyone and show them that he cares. But Charlton Sewing is just tremendous. You couldn't ask for. They actually made masks for the elderly in the town of Southbridge also, and donated 300 because they didn't have any masks. It's a specialty skill, sewing, and no one can do it at the rate they can. But I'm there almost every day, Matt, and I can't say enough about Charlton Sewing. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, and we did send them the certificate of appreciation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we also, we spoke with the newspapers and certainly mentioned them. But do you feel, as I do, and this is a question for the board, that Charlton Board of Health ought to try and give another recognition to them somehow?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Old Home Day. We're having a meeting tomorrow, but we'll probably have the award ceremony anyway, because that can be done easily without a lot of contact, I think. So that might be one way to to nominate her for outstanding citizen, or parade marshal, or at least community service award at the very least. So that's one thought.
Kathleen, I was, as you're well aware, I was nominated for Business of the Year once. I got the trophies. It was signed by the senators, and that was a big deal to me, and it's still a big deal. And, so if there's a way to nominate that business for that, sign me up. And I don't know who gets to nominate, but I would certainly throw a nomination out for that as well.
So you mean for business, because we do one business award. We do an outstanding citizen, we do a parade marshal, do community service awards, but the business, yeah, definitely. Yeah, when you think of it, just send me an email or something saying you're nominating this for a business award, just so that I have it there when we do discuss it.
Yeah. And so I'm on board with that. If it's for me personal, fine. If the board feels the same way and we want to nominate from a board, we could discuss that too. That would be great too. But Jim, moving on with COVID-19, is there anything else that you'd like to discuss?
Just that the cases continue to come in. We're at 54. We've had our second death from COVID, confirmed death, very sad. I know that Monday, Overlook did testing for over 300 people, employees and residents, and we're waiting for the results that should be here by Friday back, and hopefully we don't get a large amount of cases. They've been COVID-free, as you know. Tamara Campbell has sent out a newsletter every day, and hopefully that we can certainly look forward to maybe that we still don't have any cases at Overlook, and I think that'd be great because they do a great job there and their screening and their protection, and we've assisted them in many ways. And I think that they protect our most valued residents, our elderly, and I believe they do a great job. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed. So the cases are 54, and hopefully seem to slow down. And every time I say that, the next day we have 3 or 4. So I'm going to refrain, but I think that wearing the mask helps, and that goes to Charlton Sewing. Without Charlton Sewing, donating all the masks to doctors, to hospitals, to Overlook, to factories in Charlton, I think they help spread and help prevent the spread of the COVID-19 and actually saved lives. I really do believe that.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with.
Could we make a motion that we send the Old Home Day Committee a nomination for to have Charlton Sewing Machine Company be Business of the Year?
Please do.
I'm all for that.
I believe, yes.
All right, so that's a motion.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Well, I don't have a vote, but I certainly, I thank you all, because if anyone is deserving, it's Charlton Sewing Center and Brenda, who I speak to a lot, and she's just fantastic. I can't say enough about them. So thank you.
Yeah. And it will be up to the committee, but I mean, I do carry a lot of weight.
Sure.
Well, I would think that the Charlton Board of Health as a unit carries some weight too, and that's a pretty strong recommendation or nomination. So
It is, yeah.
great.
Definitely. Yeah.
Kathleen, do you have anything that you'd like to add to tonight's meeting?
Well, we're all talking to a lot of people about this. A friend of mine just got back from Florida, Joan with Zurich. And she said she could see the difference as she traveled up the coast. She was driving in terms of how much mask people were wearing and how friendly they were. And as she got further north, more masked, less friendly, less eye contact. And she said it was quite dramatic. And she was kind of fascinated because she said they have a large elderly population in Florida, and yet their numbers are very low comparatively. And so I'm just speculating in my mind whether I think even if you're in a nursing home in Florida, you at least get to go outside, whereas here you're stuck inside a building, for March and April, certainly February. You're not going to get to go out very much, if at all, especially if you're in a nursing home or a long-term care facility. So, I mean, maybe it's not being outside enough, the UV rays. I don't know. Maybe there's something to that. Do any of you have any thoughts about that?
I would be, I'd be ready to shoot myself if my children were not able to go outside and play and do everything that they do throughout the course of the day. They're stuck with one another with no chance to meet other friends, and they're doing a great job, and it's a challenge for them, and they're just kids, but thank goodness they do go outside and spend a lot of time outside, and when rain days they're inside or whatnot. But yeah, it's important to get out and not be cooped up. Absolutely.
It's also the cold, dry air. I heard somewhere, maybe Jim's heard the same thing. Cold, dry air is not good if you're trying to ward off whether it's COVID-19 or the flu. COVID, they said also you should be taking vitamin D if you're not getting out in the sun, because that helps your immune system. So I'm trying to do a little bit of everything, and I think with the warmer weather that will help. But Kathleen, I think you're on the right track there as far as why Florida may have fewer deaths. It is because of the warmer and moister air and more sunshine.
The other thing I just wanted to suggest to you guys is that you won't need to be doing more yoga.
Is that it?
Any at all. Well, yoga is really good. I mean, there's a lot of evidence showing that practicing yoga helps with the COVID-19. I mean, it helps prevent it.
I'm sure it does. I should be doing that and a lot of other things too, besides.
Yeah. So I do it almost every morning, and my cat comes by and I'm doing downward dog, and she's like, "Why aren't you doing downward cat?" Anyway.
There he is.
Oh, there's your cat.
There's Milo sitting next to me. He says, "What's yoga?"
Yeah, where is he? Can't see him. There is mine. And he's crawling all over me while I'm doing my yoga. But yeah, animals can teach us a lot. Cats in particular. Did you ever see a cat get up and not stretch? Every single time a cat gets up, it stretches, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's being chased. But so that's stretching, and that's what yoga is all about. Anyway, off the subject. Take us back, Mr. Chairman.
John, do you have anything you'd like to add to the meeting?
No, not that I can think of. Keep me updated though, and let's keep our fingers crossed for the seniors so that they can graduate with some sort of a ceremony and have some fun finally. And Jim, thank you for keeping me updated with some of the more important news. I know you don't have time to go out and tell everybody absolutely everything, but I do appreciate it.
John.
I told you I'm thinking big for graduation. I mean, I said Robert Kraft, and I mean the owner of the Patriots. I'm like, we're gonna get him. Not
Nice,
kidding,
sweet.
we got an in. So
Wow.
hopefully we can pull off even if it was a video clip, that would be unbelievable. So we'll see if we can pull it off. Yeah, good luck with that.
Great, yeah.
Jim Philbrook, do you have anything else, any other business that you'd like to discuss?
Only one thing, actually, we became part of the Tobacco Coalition, and they're going to be handling the enforcement of the flavored tobacco that July 12th, actually June 12th, will be enforced. And so they're going to take care of it, the Tobacco Collaborative. We belong to a coalition now. And then also Tripoli is back on the board that they sent before us. And hopefully we can make it through the season and not have to deal with the Tripoli issue. But it's back up for my attention. And I will send the reopening schedule, which includes every single thing that someone may want to ask, from car washes to movie theaters. Drive-in movie theaters are in phase 1. So May 25th, they are allowed to open. So,
Okay,
yep. So that's all I have. And don't forget Thursday about your meeting with Dudley, Board of Health.
I will be on that meeting. I am gonna need the meeting ID for that.
Okay, I'll make sure I forward it to all the board again tomorrow.
And my children were well behaved for this meeting. They've been sitting around me, and this is the latest and the greatest.
Legos.
Spaceship. So
Wow.
this was
Pretty
That was
nice.
from-
Beautiful.
Tyler, yeah. Hey, Andrew, are you still with us? Is there anything you'd like to contribute to the meeting?
I think
I
he's
don't see
off.
it.
Off. He had another meeting to go to at 6:30.
Okay. Is there any other comments from everybody and from anybody? If not, we can make a motion to adjourn.
Monique, did you want to say anything? Guess not.
No,
wait.
thank you. Thank you. I don't.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming to our meeting.
You bet. Thank you. Thank you for having meetings.
Every week.
Every week. Yeah, we're here.
Kathleen, did you make a motion?
No, but I will. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, and it's 6:40.
John?
John?
Yep, I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Nice to see you all.
See ya.
Bye-bye.